The story started around 2019 during COVID. My ambassador from KFH had already filed a cease and desist to stop. It cannot be mandatory because it is against basic human rights to force an experimental drug which is already known to have adverse effects. My ambassador helped to give out free forms and teach them how to protect themselves. But many people were afraid of even sending out the forms to their employers and government agencies. During this period, Benjamin was arrested for not wearing a mask. Benjamin approached my ambassador Harun for lawful counsel. Whatever was reported in mainstream media regarding Harun, Benjamin and myself was not exactly accurate. But everything is one-sided and they did not interview us for our side of the story. During one of the trials, which was boring and unfair, my mask broke and dropped. I tied it quickly, but security rushed towards me and made me panic. I had a history of panic and anxiety attacks. I managed to put back, but it dropped again, and I kept trying to tie it. Instead of asking me to calm down and offer me a new mask, they encroached upon me and I started to panic. Mask is broken. Mask is broken. I'm trying to fix it. Don't provoke me. This is ridiculous kangaroo court. No, you don't touch me. I have no contract with you. I'm trying to put my mask back on, okay? If the kangaroo court requires me to wear a mask, no, this is not about a mask. This is about control, okay? A mask is only mandatory, and mandatory means you still need my consent. Don't provoke me. You don't tell me what to do. I'm a living, breathing woman. I do not respect the judge. I was then escorted out with lots of security as if I was a bank criminal. My ambassador knew they triggered my panic attacks and tried to calm me down. Another group of police came and encroached upon me, forced me to go downstairs to a room and held there for interrogation. After many hours of stress, I was finally released and went home. The next day, early 8 a.m., the IO knocked at my door and asked me to the police station. I went to take statements again. Another whole day wasted. I told the IO to settle this matter quietly as with little fuss as possible, and I'm willing to pay a fine. Get this over and done with. I'm very reluctant to go to court as I have a medical condition. Therefore, I do not know what I will say in court, and it would not be good for all parties involved. I must have apologized to the judge over 20 times by now.
Sexy.
If you do not wish anyone to comment or say anything in court, kindly close the doors. Do not allow anyone to watch the trial process. That was more than a year ago. I did not receive any summons to pay fine. I recovered from the panic attacks and I thought the case was closed. Out of the blue, I was asked to go to the police station with a bailer. I asked for a formal invitation letter. He WhatsApped me a letter and asked me not to circulate this. My partner noticed that the letter was dated over a year ago. I committed no crime. There were no injury of anybody. There were no summons to pay fines. Why do I need a bailer? My lawful counsel asked me to ignore the letters and I put up a notice of no trespassing. They trespassed by my praise. I had to call the police on the police. He came again and threatened me, shouting, "I'll come back with a warrant of arrest." There was no warrant of arrest. What there was is a warrant to compel my straw man to attend court. My ambassador said to ignore them because I committed no crime, but they are the ones committing unlawful acts. They could have just sent a summons for me to pay fines, which is also unlawful. There is no way they can issue a warrant of arrest against me because there is no crime, no injury, and no Form 37. A Form 37 is required for a warrant of arrest, and there is no warrant of arrest. You know what I mean. These so-called public servants working for a corporation continue to harass me. I just sat back the letters because there is no such person. I am a living, breathing sovereign woman and I had no contract with them. My birth certificate does not constitute a contract.
The only rules that really matter are these: what a man can do and what a man can't do.
On the day of November 10th, I opened my door to feed the cats. They were hiding in the corner and suddenly rushed in front of my door. Before I had time to close the door, few of them rushed in and pinned us to the floor. They handcuffed me as I yelled, "Where is the warrant of arrest? Show me your warrant of arrest." My partner said the same thing. They did not show any warrant. How would I know if these are gangsters or peace officers? I kept asking, "Are you peace officers? Have you taken your oath?" No answer. These gangsters carried me in my no panties, underwear or shoes, dragged me to the lift. I was in panic and kept screaming. The IO grabbed my breast with his arms and refused to let go. A fat woman was also grabbing me. I was in pain, anger, and fear of my life. One of the cats put up a fight and scratched one of the kidnappers. They handcuffed and threw me into a car forcefully. These guys are brutal. The two fat pigs holding me down on both sides. Both of them were over 100 kg and I was less than 40 kg. Of course, I keep struggling because I was in panic. I have panic attacks, okay? I can't remember what I said on the way. Something about vaccinations, corporations, and dogs. I don't know why I started hissing. Then he started to hit my head against the dashboard and said, I'll charge you, I'll charge you. No matter how much report I have to spend time writing, I'll charge you. I'll make sure you stay in there for a very, very long time. I can't remember what happened along the way. And then I sort of woke up and realized that we were at the police station and I started to cry. There were no saliva as I was already exhausted and half dead. In the police cell, I kept screaming due to the panic attacks. They had to handcuff me, put me on the bed, and that was in the mental hospital to retrieve my medications. The next day, the judge allowed bail, but I can't remember any phone numbers. The IO allowed the reception to call my partner, but he kept both our handphones. So nobody came to bail me. It was a weekend. I was sent to prison right away. I had never been to prison before. Another judge threw me to IMH. During these 19 days of detention, I kept waking up screaming. I was charged with a whole bunch of, I don't know what, bullshit. I don't even know what all these charges were. Suka charge. Suka charge. Suka charge. You are not the judge. I did not sign anything. If I did, it was all under duress and coercion. I was finally released and it took me almost 2 months to completely heal from my trauma. I'm a living, breathing woman, not a dead entity subject to rules and regulations traded as commodity in the stock market. There was no contract for me to wear a mask. There was no agreement. My birth certificate is not a contract between me and the registered business corporation titled Temasek Singapore. I wear a mask simply because I do not want to inconvenience people. And if my mask drop, is that such a big deal? Where is justice? Justice had been bribed and raped. Law and order had become blind obedience. You are not a guinea pig. Wake up before it's too late. For a crime to exist, there must be an injured party. There were no dynamic negotiations, no injured party, no complaint being filed, no police report made against me, no crime, no injury, only charges pending from the abuse of power and authority. There is clearly no case and a waste of taxpayers' money for a 4-day trial. The judge did not file a police report against me. If he did, I should have known of it. I committed no crime and it was not necessary to waste my whole day there, the day of the event where I supposedly abused a civil servant. All I saw was an employee of a huge corporation titled Temasek Singapore, which is a registered business entity. When I shouted in court that day, my mind was totally blank and I only remember that I kept thinking how I must stand up for the people to show the people that we are sovereigns and we are not subject to rules and regulations by a corporation that seek to control people by using fear tactics. Forcing people to vaccinate and wear masks is so wrong. And despite all this mask wearing and vaccination, people still get COVID, right? Under the Constitution, I have to accept an offer if I agree. I don't know what is happening and I do not agree. He is a third party. If I deal with him, if anything negative happens to me, is he going to be responsible? I cannot and I did not accept his offer, his contract, and I did not sign any papers. If I did, it was all under duress and coercion. And instead of telling me what is happening, why do I need a bailer when I was not charged by the court for anything, instead of dynamic negotiation, he started sending me all these letters and throwing the letters into my apartment, which I considered trespassing. What if the letter got caught fire? I have babies in the house. Who is going to be responsible? He came don't know how many times and threatened me with a warrant of arrest. How can there be a warrant of arrest when I committed no crime? There was a warrant to compel me to go to court, but definitely when there is no Form 37, how can there be any warrant? And he should know that I have nervous anxiety. On that day of arrest, I kept asking, "Are you a civil servant?" There was no reply. I must have asked 10 or 20 times, "Are you a civil servant?" There was no reply. How do I know if this is a civil servant or a gangster? And I made these videos to release my anger, and in the event that anything should happen to me, my friends overseas will immediately take action to notify foreign groups as well as my queen of unlawful punishments. After my release on bail, I also made a second report against the police for kidnap, molest, and threatening to put me behind bars for a very, very long time. So this is very clearly an abuse of power. So regarding the warrant, I did not see any warrant, supreme or state court seal, the written signature of any judge. I did not see any articles from any court, any claim or affidavit, any testimony sworn under penalty or perjury by somebody. I did not see, and even after I got home, I still have these panic attacks for almost another month. And on the day of the bailout, I was handed these papers. I do not know who is Muhammad Majid Singh. This is not my case. This is not my papers because there were no case. So it started off with 2 charges and now all these charges, and I don't even know where. It just doesn't make sense. Okay, it's just so ridiculous. All these charges, I don't even know where it came from. And so I did not sign any of these charges because there was no agreement, no contract. The police abused their power. And these are all corporate papers. The signature of the accused should be on the far right with red ink. Why is the signature of the recording officer on the far right with black ink? Because this looks like law of the corporation. And yes, so I have no contract with them, and I had written to all the government agencies asking to see the contract and agreement whereby I agreed to wear them. There was none. There was no contracts. They Nobody said me anything. And the thing is, it's not like I did not wear a mask in court. I did. I did wear a mask, but the mask dropped. And I tried to tie, but it dropped again. And I tried again, and they encroached upon my privacy. That is why I had my anxiety attacks. So he threatened to put me in there for a very long time. That's how I got 5 more charges. So isn't it so clear and obvious that it's abuse of power? And it is stated very clearly on my side that I do not consent without a certain proof of offense committed. So I understand that he is following orders and that he is a third party. He also said that I should listen to him, I should not listen to my lawful counsel. If I listen to him, there will not be so many charges. So is he the law or a civil servant? I do not understand. So yes, I was advised by my lawful counsel to disregard the letters because they were not warrants to attend court but warrants to compel me to attend court. Understand that there is a difference. And I do not understand that, people, they get summons for breaking rules and regulations, right? Why don't they just send me a summon or have somebody to come and talk to me nicely? But I think he cannot because he is a third party. He is just following his orders. That I understand. But I also have my principles. But at least he should have explained to me, why do I need a bailer when I committed no crime? And besides all this, there is also defamation of my character by MSM. They only painted a very ugly picture of me splitting on the police, but they never say that I was arrested with no warrant and I suffered bruises all over my body. If injustice becomes the law, resistance becomes necessary. I do not wish to live in a future where people are controlled by AIs and elites with no compassion, no conscience for the people. An environment that is not safe to disagree, it is not an environment focused on growth. It is an environment focused on control. Our law minister said, "Quis custodiat ipsos custodes," meaning who watches the watcher. So from no charges to a whole bunch of charges, I was charged with criminal harassment, splitting at police, and there was a total of 7 charges. They stand down 2 charges. And the remaining 5 charges, I was found guilty and now awaiting sentencing. So it was a 7-day trial, and during the trial, I was told that all the 4 police have no camera. It is standard procedure that before the police start their day, they have to on the camera. So me and my partner did not see any warrant of arrest. And the words of the police was very contradictory. They all said different things about the warrants. There is just no hard evidence that I spit on them or I harassed them. So all these 5 charges, impossible as it is, I was found guilty. I just want to finish off with what I wanted to say in court. on that day. This is not about a must, it's about control.